the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on this Wednesday morning. We're glad that you've joined us wherever and whenever it is that you join us each and every day on the Auburn Blitz Podcast and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake. Brett and Faith here with you to get your Wednesday morning started. Good to see you this morning, Faith.
Good morning. Long time no see.
Yeah, no kidding. Seems like we blink and it's right back at it. But that's what we've been looking forward to this and coming down the stretch of summer. When we get past 4th of July, we've already talked about it. It feels like things get in fast forward motion, and they are. I mean, media days yesterday, we had a good time there. We will share some more information of what you and I heard yesterday. We put a little piece out yesterday afternoon and saw that a lot of people tuned that in and kind of took that in, but we'll elaborate a little bit more on that and a couple more days of media days, and then it's over. And like I said, Auburn's 3 weeks away from fall camp, which is kind of hard to believe, to be honest. But also, it's a team, like we said, that needs the football season to just get started and get out of this talking season. But we're about to do some more talking. But first, before we do some more talking, we want to talk about some of our partners.
Cincy Green, for air that's cool and clean. Call on Cincy Green. They are the carrier experts in the state of Alabama. Proud supporter of Auburn athletics and a proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast. It's hot. It's going to be that time when your AC unit is not as reliable as you thought it was. So Carrier is going to be the most reliable AC unit that you can have. And Cincy Green is going to save you thousands of dollars on the installation process of a Carrier unit.
I'm doing a lot of talking and nobody's hearing me. Scout Program Management, a full construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, with all of the things that you need to take from the pre-construction phase to the finished product. They will handle it for you. When you're spending that kind of money, you want somebody in charge that will do it correctly and hold people accountable. Scout Program Management is that company, that consultant firm that will make sure it's done correctly. Call on them today. Go check them out online. Check them out in Birmingham in person.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. They finally are open today after having Monday and Tuesday off. And we keep talking about how we need to go back to bunkers, but seriously, we do. They've got 27 different sports on the golf simulator base, so it doesn't even matter what sport you're good at because it's going to be on there. So much fun to play. You don't even have to just go and walk the holes at the golf course. If you're bad, that makes it not fun at all. And they've got great food, great drinks, happy hour deals, and 50 parking spaces downtown.
The complete package, if that's what you wanted to sum up as. But okay, the banter from Hugh Freeze was different for me yesterday, and maybe from some of the other, I guess, interviews that we've heard earlier in the summer, end of spring practice. And I'm going to kind of prove my point here. The golf tournament in Birmingham a couple of months ago, I think he, again, I don't know what mentality he was in. It was kind of coming off the course, and this radio show grabbed him, and he said, "Yeah, we know we gotta be in a bowl game at Auburn," and everybody was like, "We got to make it to a bowl game. Is that the goal you're setting?" And since then, the banter has picked up in the favor of, no, we've got a great roster now. He's not saying we're 1 year away anymore. He's saying, no, we've got a roster that can compete now. And then he took it a step further yesterday at media days and said, no, we definitely expect to be in the discussion of the playoff come the end of the year. And so that took me back a little bit, because now he's being more direct. And again, followed up with a question of how do you handle the pressure? And he said, well, I want to be at a place where there's pressure and there's high expectations. And so he has changed, and again, rightfully, he's saying the things that fan bases want to hear out of their coach going into year 3, that they feel like they have a team compiled that can go out and compete. Now, I've got some other thoughts on that, but I want your reaction to that and kind of let everybody know what you feel about what Hugh Freeze said yesterday regarding that one particular topic.
Yeah, I think that we've been waiting to hear what he had to say after his initial, we need to make it to a bowl game. And if you keep looking at the roster like we have, and we've broken it down multiple times, you do have the players that you can be a contender in the playoffs and for a national championship. Now, I think he's finally coming to terms with maybe speaking to the media in the way of downplaying it is not the way that he needs to take that route. Like, he needs to actually say that we're all.
What good does it do at this point to downplay it? That's I'm agreeing with you. I think you're right. I think he's changed his mentality because regardless, if you fail this year, is nobody coming to your defense? Nobody is sympathetic at that point. So why wouldn't you be talking up your team? What do you have to lose?
Right. I think you want to say sometimes, oh, let's make it to a bowl game, just so you have lower expectations and you can exceed them. And I don't think that's what you need to do as a head coach at an SEC school. You don't want to downplay so that you can have your fan base's expectations exceeded, especially when you have the roster that Auburn does. And a lot of vets did great with the transfer portal and everything, that you want to be able to compete in the playoffs, and you want to be able to have a coach that wants to get you to win a national championship, because it's been so long for Auburn. And Auburn is an SEC school where a lot of our money is going to football, and you want to see an ROI basically.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's what everybody's been waiting on. Glenn, he did talk about the offensive line. I'm going to dive into that. I thought Connor Lew had some interesting comments there about the group he plays with and lines up with side by side. And then, of course, you had a chance to go over and talk with Kendrick Faulk. And then I shared some of my stuff yesterday about what Jackson Arnold had to say. So we're going to dive into some of that as well. But sticking with what Hugh Freeze said, again, the things that Auburn fans are wanting to hear is that, and I agree with this. I think Auburn has a roster that can compete, and Auburn should have a roster after the last couple of years, and in the transfer portal, they have positioned themselves. Now it comes down to one key thing, and we've all said this a million times. It's going to come down to, did he pick the right guy to be the quarterback? And the last couple of years, he rode with Peyton Thorne. It didn't work out. And that he was asked specifically why Auburn hasn't been able to get over the hump. And he said, well, stats don't lie. We have not been good in the red zone. We've settled for way too many field goals than we have than scoring touchdowns. We were terrible with turnovers. I think we were last in the SEC in turnovers. And he also said coaching, not being able to call the plays that we need to call when we need to call them. So it's a combination of a lot of different things. And again, Auburn hasn't been getting blown off the field. And,
right.
They've been short in all of those areas and still been in all these football games. And that's one of the things to me that stood out, is that, yeah, you correct the turnovers, you correct the red zone efficiency, and then you get Alex McPherson back, and you're able to capitalize when you do get in the red zone. Even if you don't score a touchdown, you don't get down there and miss a field goal, is the difference in you winning or losing a close game. And Auburn hasn't been able to find a way to win close games, whether you go back painfully and talk about the Iron Bowl a couple of years ago when you had Alabama beat. All you had to do is stop a dadgum 4th and 31, and you decide to rush 2 guys And everybody says, well, Auburn rushed 3 guys. They didn't rush 3 guys. The middle guy just sat in the middle of the field. They had 2 guys rushing. And so you allowed him to just sit back there. I'm not going to bring all that back up. Anyway, the bottom line is those decisions, the 4th down decision in the Georgia game, where Peyton Thorne, I don't know that anybody still knows what happened on that play. But you call timeout to come in and have the right play call, and Peyton Thorne runs to the right where there's no blocking. And that play just kind of seemingly changed the momentum of the game. So there are times in these games that Auburn has had opportunities to kind of seize control, and they haven't been able to do it, or to finish a game, to win a game. Missouri last year, finish the game. Don't let a guy come back from the hospital and lead a game-winning drive. So, and I know DJ Durkin and his defense has been really good, but they haven't been good at getting off the field on 3rd downs in a lot of occasions. So that's something else that needs to be worked on. But anyway, if you clean up just 2 of those, Faith, 2 of those 3 or 4 things that we talked about, you're a different football team with this roster coming into this year.
Absolutely, especially with the experience that a lot of them are bringing. And even last year, you could have won a few of those games that just having basically a few like different outcomes, just again, especially when it comes down to the field goals and the momentum of the game. We had a few games where it felt like we were going to be able to win going into the 4th quarter, and one bad drive or one, something that happens and we either turn the ball over, whatever, and that changes the full momentum of the game. And I feel like we saw that time and time again.
Somebody asked in talking about the offensive line, Glenn, and I do think that's going to be a strong point for Auburn, which has not been in, I can't remember when. But I want to remind everybody, and I don't think I even realized how bad Oklahoma's offensive line was last year. And I'm not pinning Jackson Arnold's lack of success on the offensive line completely, but they were dead last in the country in giving up sacks. And they did have a receiving core that was decimated. So he wasn't throwing to his top 3 targets earlier in the year. So there's a lot of things that go into that. Of course, his offensive coordinator leaves, takes a job. That changes things as well. But will we see a rejuvenated Jackson Arnold is the question. And if you're putting him, I'm saying all that to say this, Faith. I don't think we're going to be able to look and pin our woes, if we have woes this year, on the offensive line. We've been able to do that for a long time around here because offensive line has been good in spots, but it hasn't been solid as a unit across. Connor Lew said yesterday that this is a unbelievably talented offensive line, even all the way through the 2nd and 3rd level, the depth pieces. He just feels like this is a very, very top tier, one of the top offensive line groups by the end of the year in the country. And we said this coming out of spring practice. You and I talked about this and said we have a chance to have an offensive line that could be the strength of our team for the first time in forever. And I'm telling you right now, if your lines of scrimmage are buttoned up, that's what gives you an opportunity to compete with anybody in the country. It's not wide receivers. It's not running backs. It's your offensive line. If you can dominate up front and you can push people around, I think Jason brought this point up a couple of times with Steve Sarkisian. He's like, he's the greatest coach in the world until he comes up against a team that has equal or better talent than him. And then he struggles to move the football on the offensive side. Well, Auburn has struggled against teams that are equal or better than them because of the lack of ability on the offensive and defensive fronts. And I think that's going to be different this year.
Yeah, and both Connor Lew and Coach Freeze addressed bringing in Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy, and just how the experience that they're bringing in is going to benefit everybody on the field. And, Connor said it makes our job easier. We didn't have to spend a lot of time coaching up, we could get straight to the technique. And I think that brings a lot to just the immediate kind of mesh together that they're able to, just kind of all melt in and be able to go after it, instead of taking so much time and wasting it on, not wasting, but you don't have to develop some of these kids.
That's right. I think he said, did he allude to like speed dating or something? I can't remember exactly. Like you gotta,
Yeah, Freeze did during going through the transfer portal.
Right.
You speed dating. You got to talk to a bunch of different guys, and you only have a minimal 24-hour window to do some of that before they go and commit. And
then when you get them there, because you haven't had them in your program, you gotta fill them out as far as how they respond to things. He said his coaches has them put in categories where these players like to be talked to like this, and these players respond to things like this, and you kind of have to adapt. And a lot of people go, what is he doing? Well, that's the truth in coaching. If you've ever coached anything from little league up through whatever, some kids need a pat on the back. You need to put your arm around them and talk to them a little bit. Some need a kick in the rear end. And
I think that really shows how much time he's invested into a lot of these kids. And
right.
Somebody asked yesterday if he was worried about how much golf he's spending, time golf he's spending and all those things. And I think you really see how much time he's invested in some of these kids. And once Auburn starts winning football games, no one's going to care about how much golf he's playing. But it's until then,
it doesn't matter, right?
People are going to be pressing him about going and playing golf.
All right, some reactions from Jackson Arnold and Kendrick Faulk and some more from Connor Liu. Right after this, got to talk about a couple more of our partners here in Sure Shot in Alex City.
Sure Shot, right up Highway 280 in Alex City. They've got all your firearm apparel and hunting needs. They sell and trade new and used firearms. Right now, it's a little bit of a down season, so you can do all your target practicing because it's always target season. And they also have great deals on hunting apparel too. Scott knows literally everything, so 256-329-0080. Oliver Ross, if you've got a party of 20 or you've got a party of 20,000, sorority, wedding, fraternity, date parties, anything like that, Oliver Ross is going to be able to take care of you because they're certified and licensed bartenders. So while you can focus on hosting, they will focus on the bartending.
And you need to call them because it's about that time. It's time to get things revved up, especially for your tailgates out there, guys. If you're looking for somebody to come handle that, Oliver Ross will do it. Okay, talked to Jackson Arnold yesterday. I asked him about the receiving corps. I said, what about these guys that you're going to be throwing to? He's like, man, it's the best group I think I've ever been around. And he said the relentlessness of them calling him at 8:30 at night, wanting to go throw, and just the constant, he said they're hungry. They're ready to get after it. And again, when you start putting all these pieces together, Faith, it leans back to the quarterback. I don't think anybody is doubting that Auburn has one of the top 3 wide receiver rooms in the country. I think there's a lot of unknowns about the running backs, but I think Hugh Freeze has said it. I asked him at Ambush. Somebody yesterday asked the very same question I asked at Ambush about the running back room by committee, and he said we haven't seen a lot of Damari Austin yet, but everybody's going to. And he said, Jeremiah Cobb and Darrell Robinson, all these guys are going to be very, very big time contributors. And he feels really confident about the running back room. So it comes down to one position, and it always does. It seems like the unknown of the production of the quarterback. And Jackson Arnold is the guy that Hugh Freeze specifically went out and targeted and got out of the portal to come here. And yes, he's got all of the things that you want as far as the tools. He's got to be able to come back, get a fresh start with a new school, and put it all together and perform. He's got all the, and he said that. He said, look, I chose Auburn because I looked at the roster and I saw what I was coming into and the scheme that I was going to be playing with offensively, and it was the fit for me. Now, if he performs, Faith, we're on a different playing field. But if he comes out and struggles and the doubters come out and Hugh Freeze starts to doubt his decision and you start to see Deuce Knight have to be put in, now we're going right back down the same road we've been going down the last couple of years.
That's the last thing we need. Seriously. We've spent so much time investing in some of these quarterbacks just to, hopefully not, but ultimately you see some of them just start going back and forth between, first string, second string. And it's just, we need a solid number one that we're able to count on. And even yesterday, Jackson said that Hugh is his guy. He's the man that he's staying into contact with and he trusts. And I always say it, but I think that's just something that we kind of have to trust.
At this point, that's where we are with it. Couple more things on some of our guys. I thought Kendrick Faulk, man, I think he impressed. He kind of demands the room when he walks in.
He takes control.
Yeah, people flock to him. I mean, he looks like an NFL first rounder right now. I mean, I felt like I was at the NFL draft with him walking in all iced out yesterday in the suit he had on and the shoes and everything. But, he definitely has earned the right to be able to come in and do what he's got, wear the things he's wearing and all that, because he's done it on the field. And when you talk to him, he's so humble and so appreciative. And I thought one of the things that stood out that I hope everybody talks about is him taking some of his NIL money to help a teammate pay for his tuition. Look, man, you can say what you want about some of these kids, but there are some of these kids that are not selfish, and they're not out there just about themselves, and they see that somebody needs some help and they're willing. I mean, I saw where Anquan Fagans went back and donated money to his school. And that's what this is all about. Those are the stories that need to be front and center. But I thought that we could talk about how great Kendrick Faulk is and potential first-round draft pick, preseason All-American, all that kind of stuff. We all know that. But what people need to know is that he went out in a time of need with a teammate and said, "Look, man, I got you. Don't worry about it." And Coach Freeze kind of got a little bit emotional about it and said, "Look, teammate having a hard time figuring out how he was gonna pay for his semester coming up, and Kendrick Faulk took care of it."
Yeah, when you were saying that, he walks in, he looks like a first round draft pick. He walks in there's no arrogance about him when he walks in with all the ice and all of the designer and stuff. And you go and you talk to him, and the way he can control a room with just his presence and his voice. He doesn't have a very loud, overpowering voice where you're, kind of just put off by it. He's very soft spoken, but what he says has such genuine meaning behind it too. And last year I was able to go to Highland Homes, where he's from and where his younger brother was, and go to a camp that he was helping out at, of course. And he, seeing where he grew up and the high school and just the community around it, and seeing how NIL has transformed him and how it's made his entire life go upside down, and the fact that he's able to go back and help other people with it, because again, the humbleness that comes from him is absolutely insane. And, he was talking about how his brother is there and how he's able to help coach up his brother, and referring to a lot of the younger guys too as his brothers, because he and a lot of, I think, the vets on the defensive side are such a family, and they really, really trust each other and help grow and develop the younger guys, because he said, "That was me once. I was there." And he's had a voice since, I think, freshman year of being able to take control and be a leader. But yeah, you see him just as such a leader on the field in general.
Yeah, I think you said. I think you summed it up. I mean, he's not a quiet leader, but he's a humble leader, and he lets his actions speak. And again, if you could get 11 Kendrick Faulks on your team on one side of the ball, you'd never have to worry about anything. And I mean, not just from the physical ability and talent ability, but the whole package, everything that you would want in somebody that is able to pick others up, is able to lead by example, able to get a little forceful when you need them to. He's just that's what you want. That's why I say still that's the best recruit Hugh Freeze has been able to wrangle. And he didn't have very much time when he got to Auburn to get him to come to Auburn, because he got here in January and it was like, hey, can I flip Kendrick Faulk before he signs with Florida State? And he did. And he flipped him, and the rest has been history. James said this team is definitely a playoff team. These guys believe that they have the best team in the SEC. That's what I took away from their comments yesterday. And again, I'll say this, James, whether they do have the best team in the SEC or not, it's all about, do you believe you're the best team? And I don't think Auburn, confidence-wise, they've felt like they've been in a position to win this league. I think this group now, again, whether they do or not, and however the situation plays out, the first step is being confident and saying that, hey, yeah, I think we're as good as anybody in this league. Now we've just got to go out and prove it. I agree with you, James. I think they're not saying they're the best team. It doesn't need to be said. They just need to feel in their mind that they are the best team, to give them the confidence to go out there and go, I don't care who it is we're lining up against. We're our own worst enemy. We'll have to screw it up to lose. We haven't had that around here in a while.
I think Auburn's taken away that they can't say anything at this point, because we've been all over the board
Right.
of, saying some really, really comments that you aren't using your brain to kind of say. And then also, on the other side of, we're a playoff team. And
Right.
I think Auburn knows at this point that they've got to prove out on the field what kind of team they are before they just keep talking.
Probably the most shocking part to me and you both was nobody asked a question about the recruiting and the salary cap to Hugh Freeze. And that has dominated the headlines for Auburn the last couple of weeks, maybe even longer. And I know some people asked John Cohen off to the side, and it's still the same answer he gave to us in ambush. And I was going to ask the question, and then I decided not to, because the feel and the theme was centered around this coming year and not really about the recruiting process. Nobody even really brought that up with much of anybody. I know Sarkisian talked about it a little bit, how they approach it, but felt like somebody from the national media would talk about that, and they didn't do it. So it still is the same thing at this point. And maybe nobody asked because nobody knows, after what Sankey said the other day, is that there's Auburn. I mean, if he would have been asked, Faith, he would have said, well, we've decided to approach it this way, and we don't want to offer things that we can't back up later on. And we want to, so it would have been the same answer that we've been getting. And so there wouldn't have been any breaking news. I'm just surprised nobody asked.
I am too, but I also don't think that it was honestly the place to ask it. You obviously have the tone set with the first couple of questions.
Right.
And I honestly think that the golf question was kind of,
it was out of bounds kind of at that point.
Right. And that's another reason why I think if it would have been asked, that it kind of would have been just way out in left field of, all right, I don't think we need to be talking about that.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the bottom line is everybody knows that Auburn's going to have to address it. And I think what John Cohen said is, we're prepared to pivot if we need to, which I don't like that at all, because that starts to lend the thought to me of maybe we aren't doing it the right way. So I'm going to be prepared to pivot and jump right in the middle of the fire when we need to do it. That makes me uneasy. I'm just going to be honest with you. It makes me feel like they're having second thoughts on their approach, If I were in their shoes, I would be having second thoughts on my approach based off what Greg Sankey said, because nobody's coming to your defense. That's the price you pay for taking the stance of being out here on an island by yourself. If it doesn't go your direction, oh well, you're just gonna have to figure out how to catch up. And so that's what I took away from it. What about you?
No, I mean, I think I took the same thing away of just, if we're gonna have to pivot, it's late to do that. But we'd have to get on it immediately, and I don't think there was any clear answers from Greg, and I just don't really. We talked about it yesterday, I think, of what Greg said, and I just
Yeah.
with no clear definition or answer, there's just gray area that I don't know what is and isn't right.
Yeah, we've got comments coming in. We'll get to some of these. James, what are your thoughts about Kendrick having the best defense? I mean, again, I think your team needs to have that mentality, whether you are on paper or not. Auburn's going to have a really good defense this year, by the way. I think their secondary is going to be one of the tops in the country, rooms, maybe top 10 secondaries in the room. I think the pieces along the defensive line are going to be really, really good. I mean, again, you got Kendrick Faulk up there. You got some young guys that are going to play. You got some 2-year guys that are coming back that really had impact last year. I think the defense, again, it's about, do you think you are? If you're going on the field saying, I think, it just changes your mindset. It's about how you dress too. You know, people
also with the arrogance too. You don't need to have the arrogance. And I
No.
think Kendrick coming out there with the humbleness, and I think he does a very good job of keeping a lot of those guys
Right.
humble and knowing that, but still being able to be saying, hey, we're the best out on the field. We're the best defense in this game.
We believe that we're the best team.
Right. And
I think that's huge.
I think that is because if you go out there with, arrogance saying, oh, I'm the best, and you just get blown over because you aren't backing up what you're saying. I think they really want to back up what they're saying. And I said this yesterday, but the motivation that Keldrick said that he gets from Hugh being in the hot seat, which he didn't even say, he was like,
Right.
I think it's pressure, and I think we've got pressure on us. And I think that motivates a lot of them to go out there and win and do better.
And if you're not a school that doesn't have pressure, you're probably not where you want to be. I mean, there are other teams out there that have pressure too. So
it's a reflection of
Ohio State, Florida, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas, all of them have pressure.
It's a reflection of your coaches. If you've got pressure on you, and
Right.
a lot of them take that as a positive thing of, well, I want to make my coaches look good. I want to look good, and that's going to make my coaches look good. And so I think it's a good thing.
All right. Just said, way to take a stance, Greg. Yeah. We said that yesterday. I mean, my God. I mean, it just thought he would come out but he didn't. And again, maybe he's not in a position to do that because, again, the ambiguity of all the stuff and not knowing. And that's what John just said. Can you repeat what Sankey said? Basically, he didn't say anything. I mean,
We have a whole show on it yesterday, John.
Yeah. You want to go back and watch that yesterday, John? That would probably kind of help you on that, because we broke down every comment he had. But I'll sum it up for you real quick. He basically said, we're still evaluating and going through some of the parts of the settlement to decide what how we're gonna do this. And they're giving advice to coaches, but that's about all they're doing. So everybody's that's why you have people doing different things and approaching things differently and viewing it differently. And that's why you have Lane Kiffin coming out saying, well, there's no question there's a lot of schools already violating the salary cap. I mean, he just said it. He just openly said it. He didn't name a school, and he didn't point a finger. He said, look, I'm not saying they're doing the wrong thing, but there are definitely people going out there saying that. We've been saying this for months. We told everybody on our program months ago that there's been coaches that have told other coaches, look, I'm having to do this right now because I have no choice. and we'll figure it out down the line if we can't. And the basic summation of all this is Auburn is saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell a kid we're going to give you X number of dollars and then in December come back and tell you I can't do it. But some of these other schools are saying we are going to do this and we're going to be able to give you this. And if we can't, we'll just have to tell you in December. So again, who's winning and losing there? Is it worth trying to be the golden knight out here that's trying to do things and carry the banner for integrity? Of course, that's what we want to do. Everybody should want to do that, but is it going to cause your program to suffer in the end? Because nobody holds anybody accountable, I guess would be the reason why. And again, not pointing a finger, telling anybody that they're doing it wrong and Auburn's doing it right. It's just the fact that will the sports commission step up and tell these schools, hey, now you can't do that. And that's not how it was written. And I just think when you don't have anything set in stone, it's easy to say, well, that's how we interpret it. I'm sorry. We'll change now. But by then the hay will be in the barn at that point.
Yeah, I think you summed that up entirely.
And I think everybody's tired of talking about it. So I think that, again, I don't know what everybody's expectations were from Greg Sankey yesterday, or day before yesterday, but that's what you got from him. And again, it was a whole bunch of really blah vanilla answers. So, all right, a couple more partners here on the program this morning before we take a step away.
You've got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah. Old Number One Customs coming to the house.
Tell me about it.
Well, they'll be coming in to really kind of lay out all the fixtures and the tile and everything, and putting it all together and making sure the color schemes go together. And then we'll figure out a start date for them, and we'll be off and rolling on the renovation of our master bathroom. So looking forward to that. You can do the same out there, 334-752-6162. If you need your bathrooms renovated, kitchen, outdoor living space, whatever it is, Old Number One Customs is the place to go. And again, we will document this and we'll have some things to show people as we move along in that project.
While you're getting your master bath done, why don't you go ahead and get a home Atlas water filter duo put in so that you can fill up that bathtub with purified filtered water. And that's what the home Atlas water filter duo will do for you. It will make sure that every single faucet in your house has purified filtered water coming out of it. It's only $15.99, and I can guarantee that's going to be a better price than medical bills for when you've got all that nasty stuff running throughout your body. 844-JFA-BLUE.
And again, another busy day for us. And then again, media days today and tomorrow. Alabama goes today. And I agree, John, let's play some football. Talking season is about done. And Auburn's 3 weeks away from fall camp, everybody. It's hard to believe. They'll be getting started here very soon. And then, when camp starts, man, it is right around the corner. So, yep, we're going right into the season that we all long for. As soon as it's over, we want it to be back. And so we've come almost a full circle again. And we're about to get started. High school and college, Faith and I and Randy and the whole gang is going to be extremely busy. Not that we haven't been busy, but it's going to be even busier when things roll around in August. So, yeah, just a couple more weeks of what we call summer, and then it's back to school and back to football. So we're excited. And again, Auburn needs football to be back faster than probably any of these schools right now, because they just need to start proving some things. I think Auburn needs to answer questions, not verbally, but by play on the field. So that's kind of where we are. So again, a couple more days of media days, and that wraps things up. And then we'll be guns a-blazing, looking forward, and we'll start looking at these first few opponents for Auburn. I know we kind of did that a couple months ago, just kind of gave a quick rundown, but we will start diving into Baylor and kind of the preparations and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be fun. But anything else, Faith?
No, I mean, I'm excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, I'll let you have the floor. I know you want to tell everybody to have
The best day ever.
And a big old
War Eagle.